is the WrestleBread Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee here, and this is episode 57 of the WrestleBread Podcast. So we have Backlash coming up this weekend, which I almost forgot. Not really a good idea to put these pay-per-view events back-to-back weekends like this. And we just had NXT Takeover this past Sunday. I am about an hour or so removed from watching the PS5 system reveal. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, please do check it out. If you don't want any spoilers, just skip about a minute ahead. So I'm very excited to see the more of the games that they revealed. I wasn't planning on getting a PS5 first out because I only had my PS4 for maybe about 2 to 3 years now. And I wanted to definitely finish out a lot of the games that I brought on PS4 that I haven't been able to either start or finish. So I wasn't really planning to get the PS5 probably for maybe another year. But once they did this reveal and they showed Spider-Man Part 2, they showed Resident Evil 8, the new Horizon Zero Dawn, and Ratchet and Clank. A lot of the games that they'd showed definitely started to pull me in the direction of possibly getting the PS5 a lot sooner than expected. So give me your thoughts of what you thought about the PlayStation 5. Oh, and the system looks beautiful. I know a lot of people were making fun of it online, saying that it looks like a modem, but it looks very futuristic, much better than a simple tower. It's very futuristic, looked like something that came off the Jetsons. And, you know, I am a bit biased because I am a Sony person. I had PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. I played pretty much everyone's PlayStation 3 because I didn't have my own. I played other people's PlayStation. Oh, no. I have a PlayStation 4. And so now we're coming out with this PlayStation 5. So I am a bit biased. So, oh well, deal with it. But getting into NXT in your house, it was a good pay-per-view. It's not up to the standard of what NXT takeovers normally are. And that's because of the crowd. This past pay-per-view was definitely missing the crowd. WWE tried their best with the Performance Center people and the NXT people in the crowd, trying to be the crowd with the chants and everything. Some of them worked when they started to do a lot of the chants during the Gargano and Lee match, but some of the chants was really dry, especially that "This is awesome" chant, which I cannot take anymore. Sorry. But it's definitely missing the takeover crowd, especially for moments with Io Shirai, the match between Flair and Gargano, Killer Kross. I can imagine the crowd chanting along and singing along with Kross's entrance theme as well. So to go through the pay-per-view event, a lot of throwbacks that they did. I love the fact that they used Todd Pettengill. They had a great set. It looked like a pay-per-view event. I don't know why WWE just couldn't do special sets for their pay-per-view events. I'm hoping that they do something with Backlash. But they definitely missed the boat with Money in the Bank and WrestleMania as far as having special stage sets as well. Code Orange. I haven't heard of Code Orange until NXT, especially when they did the Fiend's theme music. So them doing the theme, having the theme for NXT in your house with the song underneath, I'm immediately a fan. So we started off with the 6-woman tag match: Mia Yim, Tegan Nox, Shotzi, Blackheart versus Candice, LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez. Now, I had the Candice LeRae's team winning, but it ended up being Mia Yim, it was actually Tegan Nox who pinned Dakota Kai. So seems like we're going to get a continuation of this feud with Tegan Nox, Shotzi, Dakota Kai, and Raquel. And it looked like, of course, continuing the storyline with Mia Yim and Candice LeRae as well. I love Shotzi Blackheart. She has definitely grown on me. This match was a bit quick for it to be a 6-woman tag. It was only under just about 9 minutes as well. And definitely was my least favorite match on the card, I have to say. Simply because a lot of the women, I don't know, just whenever they do these 6-women tags, it's definitely something that they should do for NXT Live shows. I don't really like it when they do these 6-person tag on these pay-per-view events, especially for NXT Takeover, because not everyone have enough time to shine. When you have NXT Live, you kind of can get a little bit of a leadway for enough time in a match like this where you get, each woman shine. Mia Yim carried the match, of course. She was the veteran of all of them. So, I don't know. Hopefully with time, especially the fact that we have this main feud with Mia Yim, Candice LeRae, and now that we have Raquel and Shotzi getting a little more TV time, that they would definitely improve as well. After that, we had Finn Balor versus Damien Priest. Damien Priest definitely needed the win. I have the feeling that Finn Balor was going to win because he is going on this winning streak. They even brought up the fact that this is his 11th straight win at NXT Takeovers, which apparently is the most wins ever, of course. But Damien Priest really needed the win. There was this spot that looked very nasty where Damien Priest was on the apron. He gets hit and he falls back onto the stairs, but it looked like he didn't land on his full back. It looked like he landed more towards he missed the steps pretty much. Right in the kidney area he kind of landed. So I was hoping that he was good. I didn't hear any news that he was injured. I heard that Johnny Gargano was injured, and I forgot who else. But I did hear that I did not hear that Damien Priest was injured. This was a good match, but I really was hoping for Damien Priest to win. He definitely needed the win to kind of continue to give himself some momentum. Ever since he debuted with NXT, he showed a lot of promise, and then he kind of is starting to fall flat now, especially after he got injured after that triple threat match he was in. After that, we had Keith Lee versus Johnny Gargano. I thought Johnny Gargano was going to win this match to kind of continue the feud, but Keith Lee pulls it off. Definitely props to Keith Lee for the Black Lives Matter gear. Even Mia Yim was wearing something Black Lives Matter as well. Johnny Gargano with the entrance of being in the house and then coming out of the actual house set. People made the joke that he could be the kid who won the house from the first In Your House pay-per-view event, which I am still slightly upset that I didn't win. I did enter that contest so I could win a house, and if I remember correctly, they called the person who won the house, and I was hoping that my phone number was going to be dialed. I think that's how the contest went. So this match, it showed promise that Johnny Gargano was going to win. This was very hard hitting. Johnny Gargano pretty much the size of a toothpick compared to Keith Lee. The fight went into the crowd. The fight went to the house set, which was kind of weird. It looked like there was a doorbell camera that showed a part of when they were fighting in front of the house. It was a bit of a weird shot. I mean, I get it. It's a very unique shot, but it was a bit of a weird shot. I guess they really wanted us to see Johnny's facial expressions when Keith Lee was coming up behind him and everything. This was a pretty good match, I have to say. The crowd was pretty good during this match with their unique chants. But with a lot of the other matches, it felt like they were trying too hard. After this, we had the Backlot Brawl, which I wasn't really feeling. I didn't like this match too much. They was trying to go for the, cinematic feel, but they had the commentary also on top of this match. And I'm sorry, I love Mauro Ronaldo, but his commentary really wasn't fitting this. The stage was okay. It definitely gave me like Fast and the Furious meets Fight Club kind of feel. Like I felt like it was the fighting version of Step Up 2 or something like that. And it was just overall, as far as production, it was pretty bad. There was weird camera shots where the light was definitely coming to the lens. You couldn't really see that well of what spot was coming. Starting off with the match, we had Adam Cole pulling up in a truck that was decked out of the Undisputed Era, said shocked the system. It had flags on it and everything. And then Velveteen Dream pulls up in a yellow sports car, and he was dressed up as Negan from The Walking Dead, and I popped for that part. I was kind of thinking he was going to pull up in like a Cadillac or something like that, but, I guess he felt that he really needed to stick to the whole Fast and Furious type of vibe with the yellow sports car. And then during the match, we had an Uber that pulled up, and then the guys fought in the back of the car. The Uber left, and then a little bit after, the Undisputed Era came to help out, which I kind of expected. Then Dexter Lumis comes out. He kidnaps Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish. He puts them into a trunk, drives off. Adam Cole, there was a spot where Adam Cole fell off of a ladder onto a windshield. Looked like it definitely hurt. He started to bleed a little bit. And while the Undisputed Era was out there, they were throwing chairs into the ring. So, of course, this sets up the spot of Velveteen Dream doing the Dream Valley driver onto the chairs. Thought that, Velveteen Dream was going to win the title, but, of course, Adam Cole kicks out. The match ends when Adam Cole does a low blow, and then he hits his Panama Sunrise. 1, 2, 3. Adam Cole wins, which I kind of predicted, and Velveteen Dream cannot challenge for the NXT championship and as long as Adam Cole is champion. So I feel maybe Velveteen Dream may go after the North American championship at this point, or maybe tag up or something like that as well. After that, we got Tommaso Ciampa versus Karrion Kross. And we had Scarlett wearing a bodysuit that I thought it was see-through, but, a bit of movie magic with the lighting. You thought it was see-through, but it actually wasn't. This was a pretty short match, and Tommaso Ciampa got a bit of offense in, but the majority of the offense definitely went to Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross hit the cross jacket. Tommaso passes out, so it protects him, and Karrion Kross defeats Tommaso Ciampa. So it seems like, if I remember what I heard that happened on NXT, it looks like Karrion Kross may be looking towards the NXT championship, maybe? I don't know. I didn't get a chance to check out NXT live that much, nor did I really get a chance to check out AEW Dynamite either. So, but this was a very short match. This was about 6 minutes long. So this match was mainly to show the dominance of Karrion Kross, even to someone as established as Tommaso Ciampa. After this, we get the main event, which is the triple threat. Charlotte Flair, Io Shirai, and Rhea Ripley. And Rhea Ripley, for whatever reason, decided to wear a white boot. And I guess she didn't learn her lesson that you don't wear white in these championship matches because you will lose. So as soon as I saw that she was wearing one white boot, as I guess she lost her shoe or something like that, I kind of figured that she was going to not win this match. Charlotte Flair going to the outside of the ring, telling Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai to fight instead. They start to, and then Charlotte Flair comes in and starts attacking both women, getting out of the ring as well. Now, this match just kind of goes off from here. A lot of craziness, a lot of spots. Of course, there was the spot where Io Shirai kind of got Marty Jannetty. Charlotte Flair kind of threw her through the window of the house set. Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley continues to fight each other. And then Io Shirai climbs somehow to the top of the house set and then does a dive off of the top of the house set onto Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley below. The fight gets back into the ring. And then there's the finish where Charlotte Flair had Rhea Ripley in the figure 8. And then Io Shirai does her fantastic moonsault onto Rhea Ripley and goes for the pin as Charlotte Flair is unhooking Rhea Ripley's legs out of the figure 8. 1, 2, 3. My girl, Io Shirai, finally wins. This match definitely needed the crowd. The pop that Io Shirai would have got would have been fantastic to see. She definitely deserves the belt. Very happy for her. I'm kind of a bit disturbed, though, that it was Rhea Ripley who got pinned versus Charlotte Flair. They could have changed the spot that Io Shirai does her moonsault. Charlotte Flair kind of gets out of the figure 8, or even, Rhea Ripley sits there and reverses the figure, well, not the figure 8, but reverses the figure 4 portion of Charlotte's finisher. And then Io Shirai does her moonsault onto Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte Flair would got the pin. Because ever since WrestleMania, Rhea Ripley's momentum has definitely started to die down. And I like Rhea Ripley, and I'm hoping that maybe this type of finish will kind of give Rhea Ripley a bit of a, I don't know, because you really can't argue. The only person who could really argue that finish is Charlotte Flair, because Charlotte Flair kind of still had Rhea Ripley locked into the figure 8. So, but, as we'll get into later, Charlotte Flair has her eyes on something else. But overall, this was a pretty good pay-per-view event. They did a lot of commercials. There is now a Good Humor WWE ice cream sandwich. There was I think it was Ico Pro. There was also the throwback of Shawn Michaels when he was trying to do it was like the Superstar Hotline or something like that, or chat room or something that they had back in the day. And Shawn Michaels was like pressing the keys one at a time, looking very confused. And what they did for NXT Takeover in your house, it was Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Road Dogg in a room looking very confused, trying to figure out the computer and everything. So it was awesome seeing Todd Pettengill. I was a fan of Todd Pettengill back in the day, especially when he would do a lot of the recaps. I used to watch, it was a show that he hosted called Livewire. Livewire, I think it is, where people were able to call in, and they would go recap over, different shows, different matches and everything, setups. I think Sonny kind of co-hosted with him for a little bit, and they would have wrestlers that would kind of come in and, do a cameo, or they will call in as well too. Bit of a foggy of it, but if you remember the show that I'm talking about, definitely correct me if I'm wrong. So going into some of the things that has happened this week, we go from Charlotte Flair losing a title to Charlotte Flair going after another title. Charlotte Flair appears on Raw this week and looks like she's going after Asuka's championship, which makes no sense that you lose a title, then you go after another title. Charlotte Flair is starting to get to the Roman Reigns type of portion of being on the show a little bit too much. there are a lot of other women who need the spotlight. First of all, what's going on with Shayna Baszler? What's going on with Bianca Belair? I don't know if Kairi Sane is still injured. There's Ruby Riott. Even Liv Morgan on SmackDown. We had the tag team champions, Sasha Banks and Bayley, appearing on Raw. The Iconics then come out. And then we get this weird match. For some reason, Asuka and Charlotte Flair team up together, and they defeated the Iconics, which makes no sense because this team was thrown together and they defeated a team that was, basically a tag team since they came here. And then later on, we had Charlotte Flair versus Asuka, so it wouldn't make much sense for them to defeat this established tag team if they're not technically supposed to be getting along. I don't know. I hate it when WWE kind of does this stuff. There's a lot more concentration put onto these teams that are thrown together versus the actual tag teams. But it's just a bit disappointing. And I heard that there's a reason why Charlotte is, prominently dominating these shows, but I really don't care. There's not really that good of an excuse unless your whole roster is injured of why one person continuously dominate right now all three brands of your show. There are other women who definitely can get a storyline or something like that. Shayna Baszler and Liv Morgan kind of had a bit of a momentum. Bianca Belair was called up, and we all know what Bianca Belair can do in the ring, especially when she was in NXT. So I cannot understand for the life of me why she doesn't have anything. They do these things where, and the rumor is for Shayna Baszler, the reason why she's not on TV is because she was of course going against Becky Lynch, but because Becky Lynch is now pregnant and no longer on TV, they don't have anything for her. So, dumbness. Also, I watched episode 3 of Undertaker's The Last Ride. Episode 4 is supposed to air this Sunday, and then the finale is supposed to be on June 21st. And there's a rumor that they're still filming things, and that The Undertaker isn't finished as well. And The Undertaker's been doing a lot of talking lately, I have to say. He actually admitted that he was supposed to defeat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30 until Vince McMahon changed his mind. And this was an interview that Undertaker did with CBS Sports. It was a podcast of theirs that he talked about it. Vince McMahon kind of changed his mind last minute, but Undertaker was supposed to defeat Brock Lesnar. And Undertaker kind of mentioned how he understood why Brock Lesnar was picked, but he was hoping that breaking the streak will go to someone who is up and coming and, a bit more of an impact. And he kind of, I don't know if he said his name exactly, but he hinted that he actually wanted Roman Reigns to break his streak, which I am an Undertaker fan, but I'm going to disagree with him on this because The Undertaker is loved so much, his streak is loved so much that whoever broke the streak had to be someone who can handle the backlash. We saw what happened with Roman Reigns when he defeated The Undertaker. He was booed out of the building. And he kind of said, "This is my yard now." Kind of sounded like he was turning a bit heelish. And then it's just like, oh no, this is our guy. We want him to have the winning, the last shot of WrestleMania with the confetti and the pyro. Brock Lesnar was a good choice because Brock Lesnar is the type of person who can get the hate, get the backlash, and not even care about it, and it won't hurt him. I felt as though if it was Roman Reigns who broke the streak and Brock Lesnar couldn't even break the streak, I think that would have hurt Roman Reigns a lot more in the long run when it comes to the fans. People would give him credit, yes, that, he did break the streak, but I think it would have hurt Roman Reigns as trying to be like the top guy of the company to get that type of backlash. Other news as well, as far as with Backlash, I'm going to go over my predictions a little bit later on. With AEW news, Fyter Fest is going to be a 2-week event on July 1st and July 8th. Bit interesting. Fyter Fest was free last year, so I'm not surprised that it's going to be free this year, and they're actually going to make AEW Dynamite turn into their pay-per-view event, which is a bit smart, I would have to maybe say. It may have been better off if they did this event on the Saturday where, probably they'll get a lot more eyes. But I guess they decided, if they have the spot open anyway, instead of, I guess if they moved it to Saturday, they would have to, do something special and charge people. So now I get it. I had to think it out loud. The reason why it had to be during AEW Dynamite's time slots is so that the event can stay free for us fans, like it was last year. So going into Backlash predictions, these are not in order. I pulled these off of, this is as of Thursday night. So I'm sure they're going to add stuff to this pay-per-view event as well. Starting off, we have Apollo Crews going against Andrade for the United States Championship. I'm happy that Apollo Crews won this championship. I felt as though it was long overdue. Apollo Crews definitely, not really showed. He was good in NXT, but his persona that he was in NXT, I knew would not be able to translate to the main roster once he's on Raw and SmackDown. He definitely needed some oomph, something to set him apart versus being this good, I'm all smiles, I'm happy, life is good type of character. So I'm happy that Apollo Crews has won the championship. I feel as though that Andrade is going to win the championship back. I think this is going to be Zelina Vega is going to do something to assist her client to get his title back. After that, we have a triple threat match for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Bayley and Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Iconics. I have a feeling that the Iconics may win the title back just because WWE tends to be WWE. But I'm going to say that the champions retain their title. I have a feeling, they could start the program for SummerSlam of Bayley versus Sasha Banks by having, one cause the champions to lose the title to the Iconics. Maybe Alexa Bliss or Nikki Cross would be the ones that will get pinned by the Iconics, but I have a feeling that they're going to lose the title. But I'm going to put down that they win for this one. But I wouldn't be surprised if they lost the title. After that, we have Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. Now, I know that, people are going to sit there and give me this, give me the whole attitude era type of thing. But for some reason, WWE just loves to make these storylines of Jeff Hardy and his addictions and his drinking problems. They're doing it again with him as well here. Sheamus, putting Jeff Hardy in a situation where he was a drunk driver and hit Elias with a car. I don't know. I couldn't get into this feud emotionally. But for this match, I'm going to go with Jeff Hardy. This is his last couple of matches he's doing. I don't know when his contract is up, but I feel like he's doing this run where, this is the last hurrah. More likely he's going to join his brother in AEW. But I think this is going to be like his final ride with WWE. But I'm going to have Jeff Hardy win this match, and he's going to continue this feud with someone else. Next up, we have Asuka versus Nia Jax for the Raw Women's Championship. I will flip out if Nia Jax wins the championship. Flip out. I don't have an issue with Nia Jax the person. I have an issue with Nia Jax the wrestler. Nia Jax the wrestler, definitely, I can understand mistakes, but once you have a constant mistake, there is something that needs to be done. I work in banking. If I have a teller who keeps coming up short or over, obviously does not know how to count, something needs to change. They have to do something to get better at their job, whether they need to count on their fingers or need a calculator or, sit there and verify every single transaction with a member, customer, whatever. Something needs to be done with Nia Jax. And I'm going to flip out if she wins the title, especially the fact that Asuka just got this title. Her first time getting the Raw Women's Championship. Let her hold her title reign. But I feel like there's a troll in the miss. I will not be exactly surprised, but I will be definitely upset. So after that, we have Braun Strowman versus The Miz and Morrison in a 2-on-1 handicap match. I'm going to go, I don't know. It would if The Miz and John Morrison wins the championship, I feel like it will lead to a lot of funny vignettes and backstage promos. But I'm going to go with Braun Strowman on this one. Poor John Morrison comes back to WWE after so long. And I don't know, maybe not poor John Morrison, because he is getting a shot at the Universal Championship after, how many months that he returned to WWE. But I don't know. I don't see Braun Strowman losing the championship right now. After that, we have Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship. I don't know how to feel about this one. There was the rumor that Jinder Mahal was coming back to challenge Drew McIntyre for his championship. And I guess, because Jinder Mahal has been injured again, that's why we get Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. But I have this feeling that maybe Bobby Lashley will do it. Bobby Lashley will win the WWE Championship. I don't know how this will tie into him and Lana, and then him and MVP. Maybe MVP helps him somehow to win the championship. Maybe it'll be Lana, and then it'll start a bit of the storyline of Lana versus MVP, because, they're both trying to, kiss up to the new champion. But I have a feeling that Drew McIntyre may lose the title. Truthfully, if they want Drew McIntyre to lose the title, I guess it would be perfect opportunity for them to do it when there's no crowd. But I am hoping that Drew McIntyre will hold the title just long enough so that he could be in front of fans so that we can cheer him properly. So the final match is Edge versus Randy Orton, which they keep dubbing as the greatest wrestling match ever, which is like, come on, dude, there's 5 matches that I can name off the top of my head that is definitely better than Edge versus Randy Orton. Not saying that this is going to be a bad match, but you sitting there saying the greatest wrestling match ever, it's like, come on. Now, of course, WWE, they pre-recorded this event, so you can't really say that, actually, I think some of the event will be actually live, but Edge versus Randy Orton was actually already taped. I feel like you can't call it the greatest match alive ever if it's cut and edited. Normally, you can say that's a great wrestling match when it's done in one take in front of a live studio audience. But definitely like Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, Chris Benoit matches, Eddie Guerrero matches, Kurt Angle matches, CM Punk versus John Cena. Definitely a lot of the NXT Takeover matches. Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano. Not saying this is not going to be a good match, but for them to constantly dub it as greatest match ever, bit of a reach. I don't think it would be greatest match ever. More likely, this is going to be all cinematic and dramatic and everything, which you can't, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm going to go with Edge on this one. I'm going to go with Edge. Edge did win the WrestleMania match, but I'm going to go with Edge to win this greatest wrestling match ever. If you hear something in the background, I live, as you know, I live in Philly. I'm in a neighborhood, and for some reason, ever since these protests, I don't know where these people got these fireworks from, but there has been fireworks going off all night tonight. So if you hear a bit of a popping or booming, I'm not in the middle of a war. It's just I have people who live in the neighborhood who likes to set off fireworks because it's freaking Thursday. So those are my predictions for Backlash. Looking at it on paper, it looks like it could be a pretty good pay-per-view event. Really not the greatest, but I don't know. I don't really have high hopes for this pay-per-view event. I think these pay-per-view events will kind of be like, until we get to SummerSlam, especially if we end up getting in front of a audience for, SummerSlam. Also, I found out the ratings for AEW and NXT, which was not looking good at all. Their ratings actually fell. AEW with 677,000 and NXT with 673,000, which is a bit more disappointing for NXT, seeing as though this is the fallout from their NXT Takeover pay-per-view event. Normally, the viewership will get a little bit higher for the Fallout show because you're trying to see and find out what happens next after, such and such win or such loses. So 1.2 million people watched wrestling this week, and the majority of the world is in quarantine. The majority of the world does not have to work the next day. So like I said, people are just not watching wrestling. I don't know what both companies have to do to bring in more people. It's not like they're fighting against football or baseball or anything. This is purely wrestling versus Law and Order or something like that. So definitely got to pull up the numbers if they're trying to make a dent. But this is probably about as pure as that they're going to get between these high 600 range, maybe going back up to the 800,000 range. I don't know, but wrestling, people are not watching like that anymore. So that is it for the WrestleBread podcast. I'm ending the show right now because it's almost midnight and I have to work the next day. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Jaydee Talks. That's JAYDE Talks. Follow the podcast at WrestleBread as well. I apologize. I haven't been doing my shout outs to all my friends, all my other podcasters. I have to admit a secret. I haven't really been listening to a lot of other podcasts for a while, because life is insane. But I will start listening to my friends, Julian and Rob Bass from the Wrestling Court podcast on TurtleMinds.com, Keita and Jay from Keita and Jay Show, Nano and Larry from Half K Podcast, Devin and Hafiz at Clark Street Wrestling, my guys Dom and Daryl from Powerbomb Jitsu, and a lot of podcasts I've have not been able to listen to. I'm definitely going to get my game up, listen to everyone's podcast so that I can shout out everyone a lot better. So until next time, guys, peace.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Check us out at WrestleBread.com and subscribe to WrestleBread on YouTube for more breaking news and JD's opinions.